So you've done the meditations, the journaling, the breath work, but you still feel anxious, frozen, lost, confused, stuck. Want to know why? Because none of that shit matters without safety, okay? And that's why in this episode, I'm going to explain what the fuck safety actually is, because most people don't really get it. I didn't get it. I feel like I'm still only right now just starting to get it. Why safety matters so much if you want to be less anxious, less stressed, less neurotic, weird. How safety explains why most of the self-help industry is nothing more than symptom management, even things like meditation, journaling, gratitude lists. In a lot of cases, all we're really doing in these situations is just managing our symptoms. We're not resolving anything, which is cool. It's useful. There's a time and a place for that, but don't you want to get to the root? And lastly, how you can get started today with safety, with both safety in your environment, safety on the inside. That is something I'm going to riff on. So my name is John Wood. I am the founder of Rage Heart. This is the Rage Heart podcast. Now, usually I will interview someone, or I've been interviewing people for the Rage Heart podcast, standard podcast interviews kind of thing. But I think recently I was thinking about just how there's just so many interview podcasts, and I'll do more interviews. Like there are, people I want to talk to, messages I want to get out, but there's also things I want to talk about, things I want to say, things I think need to be communicated that I may not get to talk about with, if it's more of an interview conversational style. So I thought, hey, why not just hit record and just riff with myself for half an hour, 45 minutes. We'll see how long this goes for on a topic that I think is important, on an idea. We'll see how deep we can get into it and how helpful this is. And if you enjoy this, please let me know. So you can go to Rage Heart, that's like Braveheart, but rageheart.co, sign up to the email list, and you can reply and let me know if you enjoyed this. If you're already on the email list, hit reply and tell me there. You can leave a rating in one of the podcast apps. There's different ways to get in touch. If you're on YouTube, you could leave a comment, for example. Basically, if this is helpful, I'd love to hear about it because it means I will keep doing episodes like this. Okay, so the reason I wanted to talk about safety is because it's this thing that sounds kind of trite these days. It's almost, I'll say a lot of people maybe misuse the term. I don't feel safe. I'm not safe to be myself. It sort of becomes a bit of a wanky thing. It's absolutely that there is that does happen. But as I've worked with my own nervous system and my own survival physiology, safety has become like, it's the thing. Right? So let's talk about first, what is safety? Safety to me is, really zooming out. This is unplanned, by the way. I have not scripted this. I have a couple of bullet points. I haven't scripted this out. I don't have a conversational partner, so it's a little bit different to riffing with someone else. Sometimes that can help a lot. So we'll see how this goes. And if this is a bit rambly, please forgive me. But if it's enjoyable and helpful, also let me know, like I said. So let's get back. What the fuck is safety? What is safety? Where this goes to, probably the easiest way to explain this or understand what I mean by safety, at least in the context of nervous system healing and dealing with things like anxiety, depression, negative thoughts, imposter syndrome, shame, all of that, is think about an animal. I've got two cats, right? Storm and Zeus. They're out in the garden. They're just minding their own business. They're chilling out. They're napping in the sun. It's all good, right? They're safe in that sense. But the moment there is a sound, their head turns, they look towards the sound to see, is that a threat? Am I in danger? And they look at it for a bit and they're like, no, it was just a bird that's kind of flown away now. So then they settle back in and they start to fall asleep again, right? Think about a child, right? 5 years old, they go to a friend's place or something like that, or they bump into a dog on the street and the dog barks at them. And so first, the child is feeling pretty safe, laughing, giggling, all good, happy. The dog barks. And then the child feels off. Gets a bit of a shock, a fright, maybe starts crying. The dog leaves. The parent soothes the child and the child calms down. Safety is what's allowing these, the cat, the dog, the child in this case, to calm down, to come out of the survival response. So really to go through this, to really understand this, we need to define some terms. So that's safety is there's no threats, there's no danger. You're not in danger right now. Now, danger can be there's a bear or tiger in front of you. Danger can also be at a more subtle level, a parent who cannot attune to you emotionally. They're there, they may be physically present, but they You're not allowed to be yourself. They can't tell when you're upset. They don't know when you need food, for example. They're not attuned to you. They're not tuned into what you need in a given moment. That can be also danger, represent danger and trigger that same survival physiology. Fight, flight, and freeze. So safety and danger, that's pretty straightforward. Then we have the survival physiology, which you might say, think about fight and flight. Most people have heard that, right? Typically, if you feel unsafe, or just the way we're wired, the way mammals are wired, I think, typically if you feel unsafe, you're going to want to run away from the threat. It's probably the way you would go to first. You're going to try and run away because that's the safest option. If you can't run away because you're cornered or because the threat, like a tiger, is quicker than you or stronger than you and you can't get away, you may turn to face it and attack it, with the idea being that if you can destroy this threat, then you will also return to safety, right? So if we're feeling unsafe, we're basically, our goal is to get back to safety so we can live to fight another day. From evolution's perspective, it's so we can live to have babies. Pretty straightforward. So we're going to run away. If we can't run away, we will attack, right? If the threat, though, is so strong and so powerful that we can't even attack it, or if we try to attack it, it just beats us. It beats us into submission. We go into freeze. Right? Freeze is when you think about like a gazelle that was chased by a lion or a cheetah. The cheetah catches the gazelle, wraps its jaws around the gazelle's neck. The gazelle's like, well, I can't get away now, so I'm going to freeze. And maybe it goes all stiff. Its heart rate goes down. All the blood goes into its, deep into the core, into the organs, right? So it bleeds less. It's frozen. It's stiff, which actually, I think, can deactivate the prey drive in the cheetah. And the cheetah kind of loses interest or gets distracted by a hyena. There's a video of this. I'm not just making this up out of thin air. The cheetah gets distracted and then the gazelle comes out of freeze, bolts away and returns to safety. So then the freeze response is a way to get to safety as well. Now, if you think about the symptoms, the various things people are trying to deal with, anxiety, depression, insomnia, can't sleep, insomnia, negative thoughts, imposter syndrome, procrastination, various kinds of health issues, digestive problems, we can look at all of this stuff as a function of the survival physiology, right? So I would say anxiety is you're just perpetually in this as a general rule. I'm not a therapist, right? So take all of this with a grain of salt. But my experience with this, my understanding of this, what makes sense to me and what I've seen in my own life is that anxiety is nothing more than you're just stuck in, we could say, chronic sympathetic activation. So that fight and flight is part of your sympathetic nervous system. I don't know why it's called sympathetic. It doesn't mean sympathetic like you care about someone's feelings. It just means that you are in fight and flight, right? And if that doesn't work, you go into more of like we're getting into jargon and terms like that. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but then you go into freeze. If you stay in freeze for a long time, you kind of get stuck there. Now, the reason I'm mentioning all this is because what allows you to come out of fight and flight and freeze, what allows you to come out of your survival physiology is safety, right? It's not affirmations. It's not journaling. It's not because you can sit there and take some deep breaths and do some meditation. If anything, well, sometimes that can actually make things worse. What allows you to come out of survival mode, out of your survival physiology, out of fight, flight, freeze, fawn, which is a people-pleasing response. What allows you to come out of that is safety, right? Now, that is both an external sense of safety. You look around, let's say you're the gazelle, you look around and the cheetah's a few meters away, a few feet away. You're like, oh, okay, doesn't have his jaws wrapped around my neck anymore. Oh, okay, that's an external sense of safety. So then the gazelle's like, oh, it's safe for me to come out of freeze and run away because now I can run away, right? Or the child with the dog, right? Once the dog's gone, the child goes, oh, it's safe now. Oh, my parent is right here. Oh, the parent scared the dog away. Oh, that's safe. There's an external sense of safety in that, right? And you can say the organism, the child, the gazelle, whatever, recognizes that, oh, it's safe right now. That sends the message to the nervous system to go, okay, we can start to come out. We can let this fight, flight, freeze. We can let that start to relax and calm down, right? Safety, external safety, right? There's also something, and this is probably the lesser known version, an internal sense of safety. Now, this took me a long time to really grok or get or understand. And this is, I think, the motivation for making this podcast episode is, what does an internal sense of safety feel like? What does that look like? Because you can be, and this is why I think journaling, self-help, meditation, gratitude lists, affirmations, therapy, all of this stuff, so much of it is just about managing your symptoms and not actually dealing with the root issue, is because it's helping you. Gratitude list, for example, you're managing a negative thought by replacing it with a positive thought. It's a distraction. In the nervous system world, we would say it's a resource. You're resourcing to a positive thought, to the fact that your life is pretty good in a lot of ways. And that can help. but it's not dealing with the underlying activation in the system. You're not actually resolving the survival physiology. Your system stays in fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, but now you're just a bit more grateful for how, you feel a bit more grateful in the midst of that. Meditation, I mean, this is a classic one. I've tried to explain, when I've explained some of the techniques from the world of nervous system healing, from techniques that will get you out of survival, people say, well, that's just meditation. And I disagree. I think it does the world of nervous system healing a massive disservice to think it's just like meditation. And a big part of this, I think, is that meditation does not generally talk about safety. They don't teach you about your survival physiology. They don't explain fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, right? They're not telling you about sympathetic and parasympathetic, the way your vagus nerve works. And they're not explaining that what allows you to come out of these survival-based responses is a sense of safety, is an external sense of safety, right? No threats in your immediate environment, and also a sense of safety. They're not explaining any of this stuff. The advice in meditation is to sit there and you're either focusing internally, right, on your breath, on a sensation, right, usually with your eyes shut, though they could be open. You could be walking slowly as well. You might be focused on a candle, on something in your environment as well. But by and large, they're not actually teaching you how to create a sense of safety, which keeps that survival mode spinning and spinning and spinning, and can actually reinforce existing patterns of freeze. People think they're getting all peaceful and they're calming down, everything like that, because they're meditating a lot. And they may have just figured out how to intentionally activate the freeze response. Requires a bit of a nuanced understanding to see, well, what's just the freeze response and what's true regulation, true safety, because they can feel kind of similar. If you're stuck in freeze, that can feel a lot like peace. So, safety. Meditation doesn't really explain this. And if it doesn't teach you how to feel safe, see the safety on the outside, and know what it feels like on the inside, that shit is just going to loop. And this is why you can meditate for 5, 10, 20, 30 years, your whole life, and still feel stuck with the same symptoms. You feel like you haven't really gotten anywhere because you haven't resolved the underlying survival physiology. You can say, I am safe, but your nervous system doesn't give a shit. Think about your nervous system. Another way I was thinking about this recently, this morning, is that your system, your negative thoughts, these protections that we all have, we could think about them as like a simple if this, then that rule, right? So if danger, shame this person. If danger, be anxious. If danger, tell them what a piece of shit they are. If danger, procrastinate, right? Because if there is a bear chasing you, if your system thinks, well, you're not safe, right? It's not going to let you focus. Why would it let you focus? It's not safe. You have to be on guard looking for threats, right? You need adrenaline and cortisol pumping out. If danger, don't sleep. Don't allow this person to sleep, because if it's dangerous, if there is a bear or just a sense of danger, whether it's a bear or a parent who can't attune to you, or a bully or a teacher or a boss, whatever it is, a lack of money, if there is a sense of danger, why would your nervous system let you sleep? It's a waste of time. It's not safe for you to sleep, right? So we could think about this as like an if this, then that rule. If danger, do this. If danger, don't sleep. If danger, don't digest food. If danger, don't relax. If danger, don't trust yourself, because it's dangerous. It's too dangerous to do that, right? Now, what changes that, we have to get the message into the system that it's safe. We could say interrupt the signaling process in the nervous system, right? And I'm sort of jumping all over the place here. I hope that's okay. One challenge I've had is I might feel, right, a sensation in my leg, my arm, somewhere in my body. We could say a sensation of activation. The system's releasing something. Now, often meditation, mindfulness, vipassana, can often teach you to focus on these sensations, right? But then the system's like, oh, there's this sensation of like danger in my body. Okay, I'll focus on it. Oh, okay, well, it's still dangerous. Okay, well, we better keep the activation going, which then creates the sensation in the body, which then sends the message to the safety that it's not safe. Hey, we better keep this sense of danger going, and it loops. This is why I practice, even like meditation, can keep the loop going, right? Or where I was going before is like saying, if you have an affirmation, like saying, I am safe, but meanwhile, you're not paying attention to your environment, right? And you're also not paying attention to your internal physiology. You can say, I am safe, and yet at the same time have the, muscles around your eyes subtly tensing, right? Which tells your system that, okay, there must be a threat around here because his eyes aren't fully relaxed. You can be squeezing your pelvic floor, squeezing the muscles in your viscera, especially around your kidneys and adrenals, which are a core part of that survival physiology. Your upper back is tense. Your brainstem is squeezed a little bit, right? There's this whole chain of muscles, and it's not an obvious thing. I'm not talking about squeezing your abs for a set of squats. There's this very subtle bracing that will come in if you feel unsafe. And if all of that is tense and you're saying, I am safe, what do you think this survival program thinks inside you? Do you think it believes the words that you're saying? Or is it like, bro, you can say whatever the fuck you want to say. You don't feel safe at all. Your body is saying telling a completely different story. This reminds me of a friend of mine who one day in a San Pedro, it's a psychedelic cactus ceremony that we did together, he was talking about his daughter and how if she's upset, he can act calm, he can talk calm, he can do all the calm things. But if he wants her to calm down, he has to be calm, right? He can say the calm things. It's okay, baby. It's okay. It's all good. You're safe. He can move slowly through the room, take a calm posture, calm body language. But if inside he's all torn up and twisted up, she won't calm down. Where this is tricky is that so many people might think they're calm, but what is calm is actually a disconnection from their own physiology, right? You might be like, well, John, I don't feel tense. This is the tricky thing, right? Just because you don't feel tense doesn't mean you're not tense. Just because you can't feel the subtle bracing that's running through your body right now doesn't mean it's not there. This takes time and practice. I'm talking years to actually develop the sensitivity to know what actually is true. What's truly going on inside your body right now? Are you actually calm or are you just disconnected from what's really there? Right? So one of my friends says, I have to be calm. Even just learning to sense whether you are actually calm right now is it's a practice, right? So I can be saying this and you can be thinking you're calm. But meanwhile, you might not be calm at all because you've spent a lifetime disconnecting from your physiology because it's so threatening. That's what we do. We go through bad things. Bad things happen. We get stressed. It's overwhelming. Whether it's childhood, a car accident, school, whatever. Bad things happen. It's overwhelming to our system. And so one way we survive is we cut it off. We disconnect from all of it. And so we might think we're calm when we're not actually calm. But again, going back to this thing, you can say, I'm safe. My friend can say, hey, you're safe. But if she doesn't feel that inside of him, she doesn't calm down, right? So we could look at the anxiety inside of us, the negative thoughts, the parts of us that don't want to relax, the parts that distract us, the part that wants to procrastinate. And really they're not, I use the word part somewhat, I just don't think that's a whole other issue with parts. I don't think it's really a part, but for the sake of this conversation, this one-way conversation, for the sake of this discussion, part is just a useful word. So these parts, the part that wants to procrastinate, the part that doesn't want to sleep, well, we could just say the nervous system, right? The body. It's like until you feel truly safe, until you feel truly calm, we could say safety and calm are the same thing. Different words for the same underlying sense that everything's good, man. There's no threats. There's no danger. Until the nervous system, the body, the survival physiology feels that, just like my friend's daughter, where it's not going to calm down. It's not going to change things. You can say, I am safe. But the question is, do you feel that? Do you even know what that feels like? And like I said, going back to it's your environment, there's an external sense of safety. This is the way I was taught by one of my teachers, and this is the way I teach it to people, is when it comes to safety, there's external safety, right? Look around. Are there any threats in your immediate environment? And then there is an internal sense of safety, which is what does safety feel like when it's in your body? If you don't know what that feels like, your body you'll keep repeating the same physiological signals of danger, which the system's like, okay, well, I guess you're in danger. We can't let go of this anxiety. We can't let go of this fear. We can't relax enough to sleep properly or digest our food because it's dangerous. And if that part of you had a voice, it'd be like, bro, like you can tell me, you can say whatever you want. You can say whatever words you want. I can feel what's really going on in your body because I am you. I am your body. I am your nervous system. So these words, talk is cheap, man. Anyone can say, I'm safe. The question is, do you actually feel safe? Like my friend's daughter. I keep repeating the same thing, but it's worth repeating because most people don't understand this. This is journaling, affirmations, most of self-help. You can read these books. You can set goals. You can journal about all the stuff. You can analyze your feelings and analyze your past and all of that. Question is any of it helping you become more aware of the sense of safety or danger in your system? Another aspect of this is if we've had a lifetime of hard shit, we can get stuck or we're sort of in the habit of always looking for danger because once upon a time we had to stay safe. We had to be very on the ball with seeing danger. Was mom or dad about to explode and do something dangerous, hit us, abuse us, whatever, or a car accident? It's like the system can get a bit stuck where it's only looking for danger. We might think of, I don't know who taught this to me. It might have been Kathy Kane in one of her books. But we all have a map of safety and danger. And some people, depending on what they've been through, their map of what is dangerous is far more developed than their map of safety. So they're very, very, very good at seeing all the signs of danger in their environment and the people around them. But they wouldn't know what safety looked like if it was right in front of them. You might be you could even look at that. You're very good at seeing what's wrong, whether it's in your immediate environment, whether it's more conceptual dangers, we might say, like credit card debt, not having enough money. It doesn't necessarily have to be in your immediate environment, something external to you. And then you might also be very good at noticing signs of danger in your own body, like a racing heart, a tight chest, butterflies in the stomach, which is cool. There is a place for that. We need to be in tune with those things, but we also need to be able to pay attention to, well, what is safe? We need to start to recognize safety in our external environment as well as internally. So anyway, that's probably enough riffing and rambling and floating around talking about safety and how this explains why most of the self-help industry is nothing more than symptom management. Question is, how do you get started? This is all well and good, but how do you actually feel safe? What does that look like? What does that mean? Well, if you've been paying attention, I've been saying it, reading between the lines, there's two things: external safety and internal safety, right? So external safety is, are there any threats in your immediate environment? And that starts by look around and see if there are any threats in your immediate environment. Screaming people, snarling tigers, tsunamis, rocks falling from the sky. Are the doors locked? Can be something like that. Is the stove off, right? Are there any fast-moving objects in your environment right now? Are there any really loud explosive sounds? I've seen when I've been at in the town here where I live in Peru, I can sit on a park bench in the local square and my system will, the louder a sound is, the faster moving an object is, the more likely it is to catch my attention. And so by noticing, there's nothing really directly catching my attention right now. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. What we're doing here is starting to cultivate or starting to tune into the external environment, which can be scary for some people. If the external environment was a very painful, scary place at one point in time, it may feel quite threatening to do this. That's okay. We take breaks, do 30 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, and then go back to wherever feels more comfortable. Internally, thinking, whatever, we all have our different coping mechanisms, and they're all well and good. We just don't want to spend all our time coping. All our time with our attention on our coping mechanisms, because we'll never get anywhere. Over-resourcing gets in the way of healing, as one of my teachers says. So that's your external sense of safety. It can be, like I said, thinking about how you might have money in the bank, how you've got friends. That's in some ways an element of gratitude. But I'm not talking about just being grateful, just noticing that there is a safety here, right now. You can lock the door. Hopefully. This work is very difficult to do, by the way, if you don't have a safe home environment. You need a safe place, a genuinely, truly safe place to do this work. If you live with people who are not safe at all, your system probably will not open and relax enough to really get the stuff online. So if you don't live in a safe place yet, sort that out. Make that the objective first before you go too far down this road. Next up, we have the internal sense of safety. Now, this is really what we're going for, right? It's cool to have the external sense of safety to see all of that. But what we're ultimately trying to cultivate is, well, what do I feel like internally when I'm safe, right? Can you feel the ground right now? That's part of it. A lot of it, what I'm noticing in myself, especially lately, is that a lot of this internal sense of safety is having that subtle bracing in the viscera, in the gut relaxed, the pelvic floor is relaxed, the butthole's unclenched. The upper back is unclenched. The shoulders are relaxed, right? The muscles around the eyes are tense. Now, I don't know if you can feel all that in yourself right now. Some people might be able to. You might not be able to. Depends on where you're at in your own process and journey with this. But as that starts to come online, that internal sense of safety is when this signaling process, this staying stuck in the survival physiology really starts to relax, really starts to come down, because then it starts to feel the reality, the truth of the fact that you are safe. It's great to have the external sense. That is where it starts. But ultimately, we want to start to feel it internally, right? Getting in tune with, oh, that muscle just relaxed there. Oh, the upper back just relaxed there. Now, the catch with this is not an overnight thing. I can't give you one little exercise and you do it for a week and you're good. most people, most places around the world right now are going to have a bit more work involved to get this done. But to me, this is the most magical, beautiful, epic, rewarding journey you can go on is to this, to regulate your nervous system, if you want to use that language, to cultivate a deep sense of safety, because all these, our fears and doubts and worries, the imposter syndrome, the procrastination, the digestive issues, the not being able to sleep, the anxieties, the worries, the fears, all of it, almost all of it at least, to me is just an artifact of unresolved survival energy. It's a stuck survival response. We are running our fight and flight and freeze and fawn responses when we're actually quite safe. We just keep spinning. All this stuff, though, it's meant to be short-lived, man. It's meant to be, we chased by the gazelle. The gazelle is chased by the cheetah. It lasts 5, 10, 15 minutes. It bolts away, and then it's back to safety. Most human beings are living in this state for decades, their whole life. No wonder people are so neurotic and anxious and worried and sick and tired and depressed. So this is truly, to me, this is the only game in town, is getting people to feel this, to create that sense of safety. And I'm not saying you always feel safe. It's not about always being in bliss or peace or safety. It's that when it is safe, you feel safe. And when it's not, you don't. That's where we're trying to get to, this calibration. So you can still feel anger. You can still feel afraid, ashamed. All those things, they're all valid, healthy, normal parts of being a human being. But you're just not stuck there. You have moments, largely, most of your life is spent in safety, relative safety, relaxation, where you sleep like a baby, a healthy baby. Or when you have lots of energy, when your digestion works great. Maybe not perfectly. I went to say that, but maybe not perfectly. Perfect is a bit of an illusion, isn't it? So anyway, I feel like that is enough for today. Like I said, this has been just me riffing with myself. I don't know how well this is going to go, just because sometimes it can be a bit more well organized as far as a podcast goes when you've got someone to talk to riff with. But just to recap, like the title says, if you don't feel safe, you will never feel free. This was about why safety is basically everything. None of the meditations, the journaling, the breath work, the affirmations, all that shit, none of it matters without safety, right? And in this episode, I've covered what safety really is, right? It's the external sense of safety. It's the internal sense of safety. Why it matters so much is because safety is the thing that allows you to come out of your survival physiology, out of that fight, flight, freeze, fawn mode, out of pumping out cortisol and adrenaline all day long, right? The felt sense of safety, the safety in your environment, the safety internally is what allows that to deactivate. Without getting that safety on board inside your system, you will continue to stay in survival physiology. You will continue to be in fight, flight, and freeze. You will continue to have more cortisol and more adrenaline, more of stress chemicals running your system. You will have less access to your higher brain, to your neocortex, to your creativity and flow and joy and passion and purpose. Because you don't get those things if you're in survival physiology. You're just trying to survive. So that's why it matters so much. Also explained why this explains how most of the self-help industry is nothing more than symptom management. You're not actually dealing with the underlying survival physiology. You're basically just window dressing on top of that, analyzing it through thoughts, trying to replace negative thoughts with positive thoughts, like with gratitude lists and affirmations, meditation, trying to stay calm, or learning to be calm even in the midst of survival physiology, but you're not really working at the level of safety. You're not actually deactivating the survival response. And most, if not, I'd say 99.99%, breath work included, man. Breathwork isn't helping you cultivate a sense of safety. Not really, not deep down. You might yes, you can take a deep breath and that'll calm you down a little bit, but there's a lot more to safety than just taking a deep breath. There's a lot more to safety than just doing a quick inhale and a long exhale, doing that 4, 7, 8, in for 4, hold for 7, out for 8, box breathing, all of these different breathwork techniques and Wim Hof. Yes, it can start to help you shift the safety thing, but there's a lot more to safety, to deactivating the survival response than just breathing. Absolutely. Okay. And I also talked about how you can get started with this today, which I said starts with the external environment. And then while you start to notice the safety in your environment, assuming there is safety, learning to feel the body at the same time and noticing what happens as you start to feel the safety in the environment, you start to notice how your body feels in response to safety. And then as you start to pay more attention to how the body feels in response to safety, we start cultivating internal safety. You start to feel the fascia, the muscles, the bracing that you've been so tense and holding for a long time starts to relax and open. And that's really where the magic happens. That's where that survival physiology starts to come down. So that's really how you can get started today. As for how long this takes, I did explain that this is not a quick process. I'm not talking days or weeks or months. This is really a multi-year project. I've been doing this for 5 years with myself, after a lot of self-help stuff before that. 5 years for myself, and it's still going, man. This is 5-10 years, how it seems to me. So it's not for everyone. If you want quick overnight fixes that don't actually work or deal with the root issue or get to the bottom of things, this isn't for you. This is for people who want to do deep, long-term work. Okay. So if you want an exercise to get started, the best place I would tell you to go is to go to rageheart.co and sign up for the email newsletter. That's like Braveheart, but rageheart.co. On the homepage there, you can sign up for the email newsletter. And in the first email, there is a question there. If you answer that, I will send you a free guided exercise. It's the first lesson from inside the Rage Heart Academy, where I imagine what we've done here today, what I've explained. This is more of the high level overview, the theory. In that audio, it's like a guided audio session where I'll teach you these things, but it's much more practical than what we've done here. So you can get that for free when you sign up for the Rage Heart newsletter at rageheart.co. Like I said in the beginning, if you enjoyed this, if this was helpful, I feel like I've just rambled and bounced around on different topics. There was no script, a couple bullet points, but if you enjoyed this, if this was helpful, please let me know. Reply to one of the emails, leave a comment if you're on something like YouTube or Spotify. I think you can leave comments there, or jump on iTunes, leave a review. Just let me know if this kind of style of a podcast is helpful. It is very helpful to know that other people are out there enjoying it, so that I can know to make more of them. Okay, so that's it for today. I'm going to wrap it up right here. Thank you again for listening. My name is John Wood, the founder of Rage Heart, and I will see you next time.